Hi everybody, my name's Damian Scragg. I'm the General Manager for International here at Veritonic, based in London. And I'm joined today by my colleague, Theresa Vallejo, who's based over in New York. And we're going to talk to you about whether UK supermarkets are saying the right things to their consumers in their audio advertising, given the current pandemic we're obviously all facing. Now, just to give you some context as to who Veritonic are, and reading from the screen, we tie together critical data about audio marketing on one end-to-end platform, which makes it easier to connect to lifelong customers through audio. And put more simply, that means that we work with brands to help them make more informed decisions in all areas of their audio marketing strategy using data. We think of it as a path through data or 360-degree loop of optimization from competitive intelligence, understanding who's in the market, what they're doing, and how you stack up against them, through to creative measurement. So how effective are your ads going to be, your sonic logo, your voiceover, the music you're selecting for your campaign when they're actually live in the market. And then both in campaign and post campaign, looking at things such as attribution and brand lift to give clients feedback on exactly what is and what isn't working in audio. Now, 10 months ago, when the pandemic first really started, we did a study with MediaTel to look at how UK consumers were reacting to supermarkets who had changed their messaging somewhat to reflect the pandemic. We found overwhelmingly in all areas increases in positivity towards the supermarkets that did change that messaging, particularly as you can see in the areas such as purchase intent, where there was a big increase in intent to purchase from supermarket brands that did make the effort to reflect what was going on and take a more sympathetic tone. So we've continued to monitor the situation. 10 months on, we've rerun the study to see how people are now feeling. And I'd like to hand over to Theresa, who can run you through what we found.
Thanks, Damian. Since it's been a while, for your reference, I'm just going to play a couple of little clips from the type of ads that we tested in the MediaTel study back in early 2020. Take a listen.
At Tesco, we're making some changes in our stores to help you shop as safely as you can.
At Morrison's, we've promised to play our full part in feeding the nation.
Our stores are open daily, including dedicated hours for NHS workers.
Because now, more than ever, every little helps.
So as you just heard, while ads in early 2020 focused more on the urgency of the pandemic, like feeding the hungry, social distancing in stores, because these adaptations to COVID were still so new, what we've heard in the past 6 months has been slightly different. So take a listen to what we've been hearing.
I love how wide the aisles are at the food warehouse.
No fighting for space like some other supermarkets.
At Lidl, we're always little on price. And with Pick of the Week, we cut our prices even lower with 6 great...
We've got delivery slots available now, right through to Christmas.
Save 25% when you buy 6 or more bottles of selected wine, champagne or sparkling.
Needless to say, that last ad did grab the ear of a lot of consumers in our study. So while a lot of those ads were still suggesting and talking about this new normal, their ideas focused more on the day-to-day themes than those more urgent ones that we were hearing earlier on in the pandemic, talking about things like home delivery and safety precautions while shopping in stores. And we even saw some completely revert back to their pre-pandemic messaging and tone. So now, although we do see these same trends across industries, supermarkets have held a unique and pivotal position during the pandemic, particularly during these periodic lockdowns that we've been seeing in the UK, where they may be the only business or one of few businesses that are able to have in-store shopping. So because of this, I assume it comes as no surprise to anyone that supermarkets have been performing incredibly well since the start of the pandemic, seeing their highest growth in profits and profits overall in roughly 20 years. But at the same time, and a bit at odds with what I just showed you, our data shows that consumers are going considerably less frequently to supermarkets and also spending less time during each visit. So there's less of that moseying around, picking up random items, and more of a focus on the essentials. Two things that are pertinent about these trends and things to consider here is how does this industry retain that growth that they've seen in the past year as pandemic regulations begin to loosen, which I'm hoping is soon. And, this kind of goes both ways, businesses that have lost during the pandemic and businesses that have seen gains. How do they keep that net gain? And in supermarket case, how do they make up for that lost time with consumers and also get that back? The second point I want to make here is that the consumer focus on safety and hygiene is really here to stay. So talk about it. It still has a lot of power. 56% of consumers said that they would change the supermarket they frequent if another store was advertising better safety precautions. Some ads that we heard earlier were already starting to do this. So our data is really showing time and time again that consumers want to hear from brands in their ads, and they want to hear them share information to help them navigate these hard times. They score consistently better for emotions like trustworthiness and also relevancy. I think that we can all agree that these are confusing times, so a little bit of certainty actually goes a long way. Like, will I arrive to a store and be able to go in, or will I be standing outside in the cold in a line for an hour? The pandemic is still top of mind for everyone, so it may not be time to totally scrap it from your audio advertising. So to wrap things up, I just want to leave you with 3 things. So first is to talk about what people want to hear. And the pandemic is going to supercharge changes that were inevitable, so just go with it. Take advantage of these open spaces, and in this case, it's delivery. Second is to talk about COVID. It doesn't have to be in the style we were hearing earlier on in the pandemic during these uncertain times, in those solemn tones. But a mix of maybe a more upbeat tone with helpful messaging actually comes across as very authentic and genuine to consumers. So just go for it. Third is to make sure to listen to the market, because some things have changed and some things have remained the same from when we tested these things earlier on in 2020 all the way to 2021, right? So consumers are open to more upbeat tones while talking about COVID, but they're not quite ready to, scrap the COVID conversation altogether. So just make sure to keep an ear to the market. All right, so thank you so much, and please send us questions, comments, etc. to me or my colleague Damian. We'd love to hear from you, and thanks again for listening.